Yo, join the community, guys. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and thumbs this video up if you happen to enjoy it. So I wanted to talk about this. Little subject about Anthony Joshua and fighting in the United States, because for a very long time, months actually, I've seen channels out there. You guys know who I'm talking about. Boxing channels out there saying shit like, Anthony Joshua is afraid to fight in the United States. He's afraid to fight Deontay Wilder in the United States, right? He wants to stay over there in the UK, where he's, stay there, fight with his people over there, be comfortable, be safe, where it's safe and everything. He doesn't want to fight Deontay Wilder in the US, right? They've been saying this for months, right? And they've also then compared Deontay Wilder traveling to the UK to Anthony Joshua not willing to travel to the United States. They'll be like, look at Wilder. He went out to the UK. He fought a UK fighter, Ollie Harrison. Why can't Anthony Joshua be like Wilder, right? But fast forward 2019. You got Anthony Joshua, you got Eddie Hearn trying to make Anthony Joshua versus Jarrell Miller in the United States, in Brooklyn, in Jarrell Miller's backyard of Brooklyn, right? And do you see them giving Anthony Joshua credit for that, for fighting a young undefeated fighter in his hometown of Brooklyn? No, they don't give him credit. Instead, they say it's not Wilder, right? It's not Wilder he's facing. It's Jarrell Miller, this weak fighter, right? This weak contender, right? He's coming to the U.S. to fight this weak contender, right? When they already know that Deontay Wilder was not trying to fight Anthony Joshua. Right now, he was trying to get the rematch with Tyson Fury. So that's why that fight didn't pop off. Eddie Hearn was trying to get the fight to happen. He was sending Wilder emails. You guys know the rest. But of course, Deontay Wilder never had any intentions of fighting Anthony Joshua, at least anytime soon, because he was from the get-go of this year, he wanted to fight Tyson Fury for that rematch. These guys already knew that, and that's why Anthony Joshua was not facing Deontay Wilder next. But they want to act like, oh, so he's coming to Brooklyn to face Jarrell Miller, but not Deontay Wilder, because he's afraid of Deontay Wilder, right? They're trying to basically say that. So they don't want to give him credit, right? But here's the thing. If you actually, if you look at Deontay Wilder, right? Deontay Wilder, I believe, fought outside the U.S. twice, right? He fought in the UK against Ollie Harrison, and then he fought in Mexico. By the way, Mexico is right next to the United States. I mean, there's a border, right? You could literally cross over, right? There's no big sea you gotta cross over. You could literally just walk over to Mexico, right? So I think he fought Matthew Greer, a bum. He fought Matthew Greer in Mexico, okay? A bum. And the only time he actually traveled was when he went to the UK to fight Ollie Harrison. Ollie Harrison was shot to bits when he fought Wilder, right? So let's just compare that, right? Ollie Harrison, people want to say Anthony Joshua needs to be like Deontay Wilder and travel. But the thing is, Deontay Wilder, when he traveled, he fought a weak opposition. He fought a weak fighter. He fought a weak fighter that he knew he was going to beat, that his team knew he was going to beat. And that's why they put him in there against Ollie Harrison, because they knew he was going to beat Ollie Harrison, because they saw David Haye destroy Ollie Harrison 3 years earlier. They saw Ollie Harrison not do a damn thing, not throw a damn punch against David Haye. So they knew, they thought to themselves, Ollie Harrison ain't shit. He's washed up. He doesn't even come to fight. That's an easy fight for Wilder. That's why they put him in there. Let's compare Ollie Harrison to Jarrell Miller. Jarrell Miller is in his prime. He's young. He comes to fight. Every time he fights fighters, he's actually trying to knock their heads off. He's in his prime. Ollie Harrison, right? Jarrell Big Baby Miller is a better opponent, a better quality opponent to have your first fight outside of your country than when Deontay Wilder had his first fight outside of his country when he went to the UK. Because he's in his prime. He's actually a contender. He's not like Ollie Harrison, who wasn't a contender. He was probably ranked top 100 at that particular time. He was shot to bits, and he wasn't even trying anymore. He was basically a Danny Williams at that point, where he wasn't even trying to win fights. He was just going there for a payday, because he doesn't know he has nothing else to do besides boxing, so he just goes there to get knocked the fuck out against prospects. Because at that particular time, that's what Ollie Harrison was. He was a guy who they were putting him in there against prospects for prospects to easily knock him out in a round or 2 rounds. And because at that particular time, that's all he was doing. He was getting knocked out against Wilder. He was getting knocked out against David Price. He was getting knocked out against every young prospect, because that's what he was looked at as, a sacrificial lamb to throw him in there against prospects, because he was washed up beyond belief. So you can't compare somebody like Ollie Harrison in your first fight outside the U.S. For Deontay Wilder to someone like Jarrell Miller, who's in his prime and who's actually ranked as a contender for his first fight outside of the UK. Again, I actually am not mad at this fight. I think it's a good fight for Anthony Joshua if he does end up taking this fight and fighting Jarrell Miller outside the US. I mean, outside the UK. It'll be good. It'll be a good look, because again, Wilder and these Wilder fans, and they've always claimed that fighters, heavyweights, it's called the heavyweight championship of the world, right? So you have to travel, right? You have to travel. And by the way, Deontay Wilder never traveled because I remember seeing one of these dudes making videos saying, you know, it's called the heavyweight championship of the world. You know, you have to travel around the world. You got to defend your belt around the world. But, you know, Wilder never defended his belt around the world. He defended his belt around the States, okay? Maybe in Brooklyn, maybe in Alabama. That's it. He never went to the UK or something, or like to Germany and defended his belt, you know, against a dude over there in another country. So if you think about it, Anthony Joshua, if he does come to the U.S. and if he does defends all his belts, that's a good look for him, because he's actually doing something that Wilder didn't do, and that is defend his belts against a fighter, a good contender in my opinion, in his country, in his backyard. So I just think that's a good look for Anthony Joshua. And it would be nice to see him fight here in Brooklyn. So, again, this is just how people don't give fighters credit. You know, they want to praise Deontay Wilder for leaving the U.S. and fighting fucking bum-ass Ollie Harrison in the U.K. But Anthony Joshua fighting Jarrell Miller in the U.S. for his first U.S. debut, they don't want to give him any credit or act like Jarrell Miller ain't shit. He's just a walk in the park. He ain't shit. He ain't shit. Like, it's just amazing to me. You know, Jarrell Miller's a good heavyweight contender, and I believe he's going to give Anthony Joshua a good fight. I'm not saying he's going to win. I'm not saying that, but I think he's going to give a good account for himself, especially if he comes in better shape. That's all I'm saying for Jarrell Miller. He need to come in better shape, at least, you know, 25 pounds lighter than he currently is right now. And that's all I have to say, guys. Thanks for watching, and hit that subscribe button, guys, for latest in boxing. And I'm out. Bye-bye.